So here on YouTube you can find a lot of tops. Top 5s, top 10s, hell, some even went to top 33s. Or even ranking all the Pokemon in order. Trust me, it's out there, Gen 1 to 7 in one complete list. But we only do top 5s and we don't always keep it clean. Although here at Nerding Geek Live we love everything and everyone that anyone has ever done, there are bad stuff out there. And that's what we're gonna look at today. This is our top 5 of worst 5s. First one in our top 5 of worst 5s is Assassin's Creed 3. Now, don't let the name fool you, it's actually the 5th main installment in the Assassin's Creed series that has been released. And although some of the games have been released with more bugs in them and with a lot of updates straight off the bat, I feel like game-wise they've been okay. Not so much for Assassin's Creed 3. Ubisoft took a very interesting time, the American Civil War, and just fucked it up. Sure, you got your Benjamin Franklins in there, your Roosevelts, whatever. I'm not an expert in American history, but still, you got some interesting historic characters in there. And the gameplay was eh. I mean, it didn't do anything revolutionary. But the thing that bugged me the most about Assassin's Creed 3 is its story. You start off as a guy who murders some people in England. Which, fair enough, we like that start. What's next? Well, we travel to America, meet up with some famous people, and for half the game we think we're an assassin, while oh no, plot twist, all of a sudden turns out we're actually a Templar. We built half a game getting to know this Templar, getting a connection with him, and only then it turns out like, yeah, you're actually playing as one of the bad guys. Here's your main character, try him instead. And your main character, he just fucking sucks, doesn't he? From that point on, it's more just walking around, fetching stuff for people, doing a lot of side quests for the people in your little village that you're building, and that's about it. I feel like in the second part of Assassin's Creed 3, they just fucked it up and all the rapport you build up with your main character up to that point is just gone. The halfway mark of a game is not meant to start a whole new relationship with people. No, we've had the building a relationship for the first part. Just let us continue with him. And that's why he is on the 5th spot on this list. On my number 4 spot, we find one of the 5th races that has graced World of Warcraft. And I use the term graced very lightly. These guys came about in the Burning Crusade expansion. And no, I am not talking about the Blood Elves, because I kinda like them. I'm talking about the Draenei. Now, what are the Draenei? They're basically Smurfs with hooves and tentacles coming from their chin that crash with a spaceship on a fantasy world. Just take a moment to let that sink in. We're basically talking about a squid smurf goat hybrid from outer space. Okay, I'll give it to you. The backstory these guys have is kinda nice. I mean, they were running from the Burning Crusade, from the Legion of Demons, and somehow they built a spaceship and somehow they made it all the way to Azeroth. How many planets must have they come across before landing on Azeroth? And if they're from the same planet as the Orcs, and they kinda use similar magic, why the fuck not just build a portal? And why go to the only place where your natural enemies, the Orcs, are already? That just doesn't make sense to me. If the Orcs are here, the Burning Legion is here, don't make that distance, make this distance to a new place. It's not rocket science. They have some nice characters in there. Certain NPCs of the Draenei, the Vindicators and stuff like that are pretty awesome. But still, there is not a single race in World of Warcraft that has felt more out of place than these guys. Now we move on to number 3 on our list. And it's one from DC. Everyone who's known of DC knows of their multiverse theory, but not a lot of people know of Earth 5 in the multiverse. And with good reason. Earth 5 is the Marvel universe, not Marvel Comics universe. Nope, it's the Captain Marvel aka Shazam universe. Which could prove nice. Sure, it would work. Shazam was, except for I think Wonder Woman, the best thing the DCEU ever put out. But do you have to populate the entire world with William Batsons? I mean, you got your Captain Marvel, fine. But why, oh why, must there be a William Tall Marvel Batson? A William Hill Marvel Batson? A William Batson Jr.? DC, if this is the best you can do to populate a world with Captain Marvels, just leave Captain Marvel to Marvel, because this Earth 5 is just the shittiest out there. At our number 2 spot, we found the Justice League. And I'm not talking about Justice League in any iteration of the Justice League in the comics. I'm talking about the Justice League, the movie in the DCEU, which was the 5th movie released in that franchise. Now, a lot can be said that Suicide Squad was worse, Batman vs Superman was worse, but still, in my opinion, it had to be Justice League. First of all, the CGI. A lot has been said about Henry Cavill's mustache in Mission Impossible, and it had to be CGI'd out of existence for reshoots in the Justice League. And you can just tell. You can just see when it was shaved off and when it was with CGI. Seriously, just watch the movie again. Actually, what the hell am I saying? Never watch that movie again. But if you ever do, just make a drinking game out of it. See when it's a real chin or upper lip, and see when it's not. Trust me, you'll be drunk in no time. And it's not only the CGI that bothers me in this one, it's also the main villain, Steppenwolf. We had a trailer of Justice League way before they were actually ready to release it. And we saw a completely different Steppenwolf in there. Not so CGI based, but just looking like a fucking badass. And that's the one I wanted to see, and I think I'm not alone in that. Put together that with the CGI, and then we have another contender there to make it the perfect trio of suckiness, and it's the characters themselves. Now, I think Ben Affleck is like one of my worst picks for Batman, and even not taking that into account, we had a Flash showing up that just, I don't know, it was just there. We had no build up to the Flash, he was just suddenly there and no explanation was given. Okay, no build up, yeah, we had some scenes in after credits which kinda showed him, but it's not like they made a big deal out of it. It was just like, you know what, here is Justice League, here's your Flash, here's your Cyborg, have fun with it. You didn't get the click with those characters that you got in the MCU. The MCU started building up and worked their way up to Avengers. Okay, there were still some characters in Avengers that we didn't really know about yet, but not a single one wasn't in one of the other movies. Perhaps if the DCEU put in some time and some effort, bringing Cyborg and Flash and perhaps even Aquaman before they made Justice League, you would have a feel with these characters. Perhaps feel more relatable to them. And I think the Justice League would have been a better movie for it. That's just my opinion, so don't at me. And now here it is, my pick of the worst 5 number 1 spot. And I think this one might be a bit divisive. It's Pokemon Generation 5. Now, before you all tune into another channel, just hear me out first, please. Now, Gen 5 came into being in Black, White, Black 2 and White 2. They had okay starters. The starters were fine, for the most part. But what about the other Pokemon? I mean, it was a lot of cats, a lot of dogs, that didn't even look like anything else. It was just a cat and a dog. Even when they evolved, it stayed a cat and a dog. Your basic Yorkshire Terrier just became a Pokemon all of a sudden. Fine, I mean, basically Growlithe and Arcanine were kind of just dogs that grew up. But they had a certain warmth to them. I know their fire Pokemon just don't. But you got a feeling for those Pokemon. They were not just a giant ass dog. Nope, they were a fire breathing dog. Whereas, sure, earlier you can learn certain fire moves, but it's not really a fire dog, now is it? And if that wasn't enough, we got just reskins. Not like the alone versions of Pokemon, no, just non-reskins. One basic Pokemon, which is 3 different colors, that had 3 different stats, well, 3 different elemental types, and that's all the difference there was between them. Pansage, Pansear and Pandour. of Benpor. And those were just the same Pokemon, just in a different color. Why? If your inspiration is running low, fine. But just don't put just about anything in the game. And speaking about just putting anything in this game, Woobat? Seriously? Just small wool thingy with wings? And that's basically it? Trubbish was just a pile of rubbish. That's it. That's his whole thing. It's a pile of basically sentient rubbish. Garbodor, its evolution just the same, but just a bigger pile. I mean, sure, Muk and Grimer were just a bunch of slime, but at least it was kinda okay slime. This is just fucking rubbish. Another one. Our ice types, who were just ice cream cones. And if it was just one, fine. No, it has 3 stages. It's just 3 different types of ice cream. Why Game Freak? Why Nintendo? Another thing, you already did the joke Abracadabra Alakazam. Was it really necessary to go Cling Clang and Cling Clang? Was that really worth the pun? Because to be honest, I don't see it. You know, all that stuff can be forgiven if you at least had some decent legendaries in there. But you just put genies in clouds. Well, it looked like genies up until they get their second form and turns out they had wings. Yeah, fine, I guess, fine, yeah, sure, go for it. Seriously. Gen 5. Maybe it's because I was born in the 80s and grew up in the 90s that Gen 1 will always be my favorite. But I think, well, I hope anyone can see that Gen 5 was just them running out of ideas. And to me, that's what really makes it the worst number 5 in my top 5. Now, if you've enjoyed that, please leave a like, share this video with your friends because it does help us grow. If you think I'm full of it and you feel like you need to defend one of my choices, please do so in the comments down below. If you think I'm spot on about everything, which I usually am, also put it down in the comments down below. And be sure to subscribe to the channel to stay notified of all this wonderful content we are putting out here. As for now, it's goodbye from me.